Hey, Veronica, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to have this conversation with you right after the holidays. Hope you had an enjoyable one. My first question is, you've had time to work with Tony Robbins recently in the past few years, and for anybody who's in this industry, Tony Robbins is kind of like the king of it all, really, and since the 70s. And I've learned a lot from him. I'm sure you have as well. So how was that? How was getting in the door to work with Tony, and what did you learn from him?
I think it's a testament to how Tony and Dean Graziosi build their companies. If we're talking about team development and team building as well, I was a student. They had their knowledge business blueprint course. I was one of the first people that bought it. And then just a couple months after, they had put in the Facebook group that they were struggling to speak on every stage that was afforded to them about what they were doing, and really the knowledge industry was exploding and things like that. They really wanted to talk about it. So they asked their community, hey, we're going to put together a killer speaking team. Please apply. And I think there was, I don't know, I want to say 500, 600, something like that ish applicants. And I had made it to the top five. So I started out just as a student of Tony and Dean, and then became a trainer and a speaker for them because they asked of their community. And that's where they sourced some of the best team members I have worked with.
That's awesome. And you talk about building a dream team a lot and building a community that can also be part of that dream team. Sounds like something that you were able to do. What makes a dream team in your eyes?
Goodness. If anybody hasn't seen the show Ted Lasso, it's like a masterclass in team development and leadership in a Ted Lasso way, which is it's a fun show. But so dream teams, not to be cliche, it's just essentially you're putting people in positions where they can really exercise what makes them great, and creating a team where everybody complements each other and everybody covers each other's six. So, and I know there's lots of analogies in the military, and there's lots of, I mean, there's tons, but it really becomes that you don't want the same person five times over. I like diversity. Actually, I love diversity in a team. I love diversity of person, diversity of thinking, a diversity of background, diversity of experience. Because if I just work with people that have only known one color, then I'm limiting the creativity that the company is capable of bringing to the marketplace. Like, I don't want to just rinse and repeat what everybody else is doing. I really want to have fresh ideas. So I think if you're building a dream team, you have to kind of start with what you got, and also evaluate where you're going, and then build a team that can go from where you are to where you want to go.
And is there a way you have that switch flipped where you know you've got a dream team? Is there like a certain checkpoint that you have to hit, or is it just over time it builds and then you look back, oh wow, we've had a dream team for 5 years?
No, I think pretty quickly, if you have something special, I think communication is usually the first indication that, oh, like we're able to communicate in a way that we can hear each other. I think the next big milestone outside of getting along is when the first moment of issue or problem comes and the team can actually deal with it, not emotionally, not catastrophically, but
Mhm.
they can be like, oh, this is a problem. And I'm looking at this as an opportunity to basically discuss it together and solve it together. That is usually a really good flag to me. Oh, it's not the problems that define you, it's the problems that show you who you already are sometimes. And that's certainly the case for teams.
Awesome, awesome. And for those of us who maybe aren't in leadership right now, what can you do to help build a dream team when you're actually a part of that team and not necessarily their manager, their leader, or their boss?
So here's my advice to whether you're a manager or you're the actual entrepreneur of the business, where you find incredible players matters. So for example, A players will recommend other A players. I never, it's very rare that I will take a referral from somebody that doesn't already exhibit dream team behavior or A player behavior, because A players are very picky about who they put their name behind, because it's obviously a reflection of them and their work. So referrals are great, but just be careful where you get the referral from. I'm also a big fan of just developing leaders and developing team members more than I am just getting out into the marketplace and finding somebody cold off the street. I'm not against it. I just rather look at what I have first before I start looking at somebody that I don't already have. As far as building a dream team and as far as like attracting the right people, I think you just have to make sure that you're first and foremost a dream team member before you even think about expanding to others.
And so if you have somebody who maybe exhibits some of the qualities, like they're able to openly communicate, but maybe they're not able to self-diagnose when they're running into issues, or they don't ask for help, well, how can you help cultivate their skill sets more so that they can become a dream team player or go from that B to an A?
Yeah, so the first time that I usually have an opportunity to do that is when I have to course correct. So if I'm in a one-on-one and there is some constructive feedback that I have to give and administer to somebody that needs it, if I can tell that their first response is defensiveness and coming up with the reasons as to why it is not going well, or there's underperformance, or this or that, or this or that, I immediately know that this is an area of improvement that I can help from a management standpoint. Right. So I open it up to say, look, I know that I'm going to be providing you some feedback that will probably trigger some thoughts and feelings. I'm going to challenge you and really push you to not respond out of emotion, but to sit with it and to take notes and then to digest it on your time. And then we can converse about it. It really means a lot to me when I see team members have enough maturity to be like, you know what, I hear you. I'm not prepared to respond to that right now because I just want to sit with it. Is that okay? Would that be appropriate? That is always appropriate. I think we as human beings feel like we need to have the perfect answer in the perfect moment and like just be put on the spot. And the truth is, when you're in control of your facilities and when you have emotional maturity, you can actually, with confidence, be like, yeah, I hear you. Can I get back to you with this? Because I really want to make sure that we have a really constructive phone call. And I just want to make sure I'm processing this because it's the first time I'm hearing something.
Yeah, agreed 100%. And I think that's what some people get wrong with feedback is because they're so used to defending or explaining what happened that they're not really open to the feedback. Then people don't want to give it because you have to convince them that what they did was maybe incorrect. And that's not something that a leader wants to be in. So
Sure.
they just shy away from giving feedback. So you got to be open and willing to learn from what the other person is probably saying and reflect on how you can improve it for sure. But when you have to go outside and find somebody who could potentially join your dream team, what kind of questions do you look for to ask?
Yeah.
That's probably a very common question people look at when they're getting interviewed. They're always scared of having the perfect answer.
So I'm a weirdo. I have always enjoyed and liked being interviewed, and like the harder the interview, the more I like it. So like it's weird. I actually like being put on the spot in particular. As far as how I hire people, there's no tricks, meaning I don't have any, ooh, make sure you ask this and make sure you ask this. And I know that some companies have questions like if you put two toads in a box and like to assess your creative problem solves to get a sense of how your brain works. I don't have anything like that. I think it's more fundamental than it is trying to like stump a candidate, so to speak. So for me, there's just really three big things that I need to walk away knowing and having an answer for. However, I need to extract the answer, like whatever question is the best to ask to get the answer that I need, then so be it. The interview will guide me in that way. But the three big things that I need to walk away with in order for me to have confidence to proceed to the next level and the next level is, one, will the candidate really enjoy the work that they're doing in this role? Like if the person does not fundamentally on their own have pride and enjoyment in the doing of the work of that role, it's going to be a mismatch. If you don't like deploying emails, if you don't like writing emails, if you don't like doing social media, and when I say like it, there's a difference between they can and they're good at it versus the enjoyment of doing it. Will they enjoy, have passion and pride behind the doing? That is a requirement of that role. That's first. The second thing is, will they enjoy who they work with and for? We are social creatures, and I have left the perfect job because I hated my boss or because I couldn't stand so-and-so. It's really important that you bring on a new work family member and that they'll get along with the existing family and culture. So I really tried to, like, by asking questions about themselves, their family, their hobbies, like, again, it doesn't matter really what the question, what you're trying to get out of it is, what is this person like and what will this person be like amongst their peers, and will they enjoy their peers? If I know that I have personalities that are really soft-spoken and they tend to answer questions or they're more drawn out in their activities, and this person's an Enneagram 8 who goes fast-paced and is out, like, they might not enjoy that environment, right? And then the third big pillar is, will they enjoy what they get compensated, right? Like, if a candidate says that I'm willing to take a pay cut because this opportunity is so amazing, I will never hire them. And it's funny because I feel like most employers, when they hear that, go, yes, slam dunk, I'm totally hiring this person. It's a steal. That honeymoon mentality of, I'm so excited, it's such an opportunity, I'm willing to take a pay cut, runs out in 90 days, if not faster than
Day
that.
2.
So I never, ever will hire somebody that will get less compensation than what they are currently getting paid or what they think they should be getting paid. That's the other thing. Sometimes you hire somebody like, what's your current compensation? Well, I make 45. Okay, great. This role's 45. No, they said they make 45. That's not what they said they wanted or what they think they deserve. So you need to figure out what somebody feels that they are worth and what the market is willing to pay for them. Because if you pay less, that will always come to bite you in the future, always. So if all 3 of those pillars, the enjoyment with what they're doing, the enjoyment of who they're working for, and the pride in what they're getting compensated to take care of themselves and their family, and it's equal to what they think they're worth in the marketplace, if those 3 things are green light, then we can move forward. Like we can pass go. If those things are not green, if only 2 are green and 1 is red or yellow, like I'm not going to go. I'm not going to keep going.
Yeah. And I think that's really good because I always say when I'm looking for a new job or when I was still in corporate, I was like, what am I going to learn and what am I going to earn? So like part of what are my skill sets? What am I going to continue to learn? That's to answer your first question. And the earning is the second, but is the third part. I was less in tune with, I guess, the social structure because I knew that if those 2 fit my bill, I can work with anybody. I'm not like looking necessarily for a specific thing, but I have left jobs because of the people I worked
100%.
with. So but you're just not going to know that as the person getting interviewed, I feel like, except for the person that you're interviewing with.
No.
But how can you tell when somebody has a passion in what they want to do? Because anybody, I think, said gives you the cookie cutter response. Oh, I love doing this. Oh, I love doing that. But that's not exactly true all the time.
Yeah. For me, body language is what gives it away. I don't like phone interviews. I like Zoom calls, if not in person. Person's always better. But with the virtual economy of today, it's always going to be like a Zoom call. And so you pay very close attention to shoulders. I'm not a body expert by any means. I just know from my personal experience conducting hundreds of interviews that when somebody's genuinely excited about what they're discussing, they stand taller. When they are trying to conceal or they are not particularly excited about whatever they're talking about, they tend to droop the shoulders. I noticed that we were interviewing a very successful podcast manager. She was a podcast manager for some massive brands in the past. We are uber excited because we're like, oh my gosh, if she ran that podcast and she could do that. But every time I would talk about podcast stuff and the podcast, our vision for the podcast and the goals for the podcast, her body was like this. And I could tell. So I was like, so I know you did podcasts in the past. A podcast is just a podcast. What did you love more? Was there anything that you loved more? Or was there anything about the podcast that you really loved to do? Is there anything in particular in just the construct? She's like, actually, I really like talking to the people. I really like that. And then also she started perking up. So she didn't really like the podcast. She liked certain aspects of the role, but it was like 2% of the job. So you have to pay really close attention to that. And usually for me, it's a giveaway with body language.
Yeah, I like that. A lot of people talk about where your eyes are and stuff like that, but the shoulders, that was one of the first times I've heard that analogy to look at.
It's this or this. Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. Where have you learned a little bit of your interviewing skills or other tips that you would want the other people to learn about as well?
I've never had interview formal training. I have just done it wrong, done it right. So I couldn't even point you to the right direction. I couldn't even say, oh, get this book or whatever. There's other books for other things that I would recommend. But I think
we'll just go with that then.
I was just going to say, I think for me, we are social creatures. And it's like when you network and you can tell somebody's like talking to you or talking at you. So I think, and this goes to the Dale Carnegie stuff and stuff like that my husband and I like, we're big fanatics of personal development and things like that. But at the end of the day, you're working with a human being. And you could be great on paper, but if there's no chemistry on the first date, so for me, I just want to make sure that when I go into an interview process, not only are they getting a feel for me, but I'm also getting a feel for them. And I treat it like I would at a first date, so to speak. I want to make sure that I'm engaged, they're engaged in me. If they're not as engaged in me, then you pay attention to all of those social cues. So I couldn't even point you in a cheat sheet of sorts. Maybe that's something I'll make one day.
No worries. You did mention Doug Conner, How to Win Friends, Influence People is probably one of the best books out there for people who are more stoic or people who don't even realize those things. I know when I first read the book, I was like, oh, wow. So there's a lot of things that are quote unquote soft skills that I need to improve on. But
and also Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference is also a really great book as well. That's more negotiating, but it's really good advice. I use a lot of his skills, a lot of his tips in interviews or employee reviews or things of that nature. Is another really good one.
yeah, I'm midway through his masterclass still, so I need to finish that one up. Hopefully, by the time this episode gets dropped. But his ability to talk to people in high stress negotiations is a job that I'm sure a lot of people would love to learn about. Where can people find you and learn more about you?
Yeah, so I'm veronicaromney.com, and all of my social media is just V Romney. So to my knowledge, I'm the only Veronica Romney out there.
Nice. Veronica, I appreciate your time, and I wish you had more time, unfortunately, but I know you have to go. We'll cut this one a little bit short and hopefully have you back on the podcast soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Sammy.